Welcome to our channel, where we delve into history, politics, and international relations to shed light on some of the most intriguing questions of our time. Today, we're going to explore a question that has puzzled many for decades. Why did Nikita Khrushchev give Crimea to Ukraine? To understand the decision of Khrushchev, it is essential to understand the historical background of the region. Crimea, located on the Black Sea, has been a crossroads of different civilizations for centuries. It was under the control of the Ottoman Empire for a long time before coming under the control of the Russian Empire in the late 18th century. During World War II, Crimea was occupied by the Germans, and after the war, it was annexed by the Soviet Union. Nikita Khrushchev was a Soviet politician who served as the first secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union from 1953 to 1964. Khrushchev was instrumental in the de-Stalinization of the Soviet Union and the implementation of various administrative reforms. The transfer of Crimea to Ukraine in 1954 was not an arbitrary decision but was part of Khrushchev's broader plan of administrative reforms in the Soviet Union. Khrushchev believed that by transferring Crimea to Ukraine, he could strengthen the ties between the two regions and promote a sense of unity among the Soviet republics. Khrushchev had a personal connection to Ukraine, as he was born in a village in the Donetsk region, which is now part of Ukraine. Khrushchev believed that the transfer of Crimea to Ukraine would help him gain popularity among the Ukrainian people. Apart from political considerations, there were strategic reasons for Khrushchev's decision to transfer Crimea to Ukraine. The Black Sea Fleet, which was an essential asset of the Soviet Union's navy, was based in Sevastopol, Crimea. By transferring Crimea to Ukraine, Khrushchev ensured that the Soviet Union would maintain control over the Black Sea Fleet, which would remain in Sevastopol, a city that is now part of Ukraine. Control over the Crimean Peninsula was also important for Soviet defense strategy during the Cold War. The Crimean Peninsula provided a natural barrier against potential military threats from the south and was strategically located near the Bosphorus Strait, which connects the Black Sea to the Mediterranean. Khrushchev also saw economic benefits in transferring Crimea to Ukraine. The region was home to several industrial centers and had rich natural resources, such as oil and gas reserves. By transferring Crimea to Ukraine, Khrushchev believed that he could strengthen the economic ties between the two regions and promote economic growth. Khrushchev's vision for economic growth in Ukraine and Crimea was centered around increasing agricultural productivity. Khrushchev believed that Ukraine and Crimea had the potential to become the breadbasket of the Soviet Union and invested heavily in agricultural development in the region. After the transfer of Crimea to Ukraine, Ukrainian identity and nationalism grew stronger. The majority of the population in Crimea was ethnically Russian, and the transfer made many Russians living in Crimea feel like they were being abandoned by the Soviet state. This fueled their desire to assert their own identity and defend their rights. However, the transfer also led to tensions between Ukraine and Russia. Russia had always considered Crimea to be an integral part of its territory, and the transfer was seen as a significant loss for Russia. Furthermore, many Russians saw the transfer as an act of betrayal by Khrushchev, who was himself a Ukrainian. These tensions would continue to simmer for decades, culminating in the annexation of Crimea by Russia in 2014. The fall of the Soviet Union in 1991 also had a significant impact on Crimea's status. As a result of the fall of the Soviet Union, Crimea became part of an independent Ukraine. This new status meant that Crimea was no longer under the direct control of Moscow, and many Russians living in Crimea felt like they were losing their connection to Russia. In 2014, protests broke out in Ukraine after President Yanukovych abandoned a trade agreement with the European Union in favor of closer ties with Russia. Protests erupted in Kyiv's Independence Square, and the Ukrainian government responded with force, leading to the deaths of more than 100 people. This led to a political crisis, with Yanukovych fleeing to Russia. In response, Russia annexed Crimea, citing the need to protect Russian-speaking people in the region. The annexation was widely condemned by the international community, with many countries imposing sanctions on Russia. In conclusion, the transfer of Crimea to Ukraine had a significant impact on Ukrainian identity and nationalism, tensions between Ukraine and Russia. The annexation of Crimea by Russia in 2014 has further escalated these tensions, leading to a continued conflict in the region. The relevance of the topic today is that it remains a contentious issue in international relations, and the importance of diplomacy and dialogue cannot be overstated in resolving conflicts between nations. It is essential for nations to work together to find peaceful and lasting solutions to conflicts. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this story engaging and informative. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one.